Hello, Bomb Squad. Thanks for joining us today. This is your host, Trina Laird, and I am interviewing today Dr. Jake Porter. Dr. Jake is an internationally recognized expert in betrayal trauma and relational healing. He is known for pioneering the couple centered recovery model. As founder of Daring Ventures and the International Association for Couple Centered Recovery, Dr. Jake Porter has worked with hundreds of women blindsided by sudden abandonment, often discovering betrayal that had gone completely hidden for years, and they didn't know. He brings a powerful voice of accountability into the mental health space, naming destructive behaviors for what they are, and that is trauma inducing betrayals with devastating ripple effects, which I know you're all familiar with at this point. Drawing from his own recovery journey, clinical training, and his deep work with betrayed spouses, Dr. Jake refuses to romanticize dysfunction, and instead he champions those left to pick up the pieces. Dr. Jake offers hope, not by excusing the betrayer, but by validating the pain of the betrayed and advocating for truth, justice, and healing. So get comfortable, you guys, and we're going to hear from Dr. Jake right now. Hey, good morning, Dr. Jake. I'm so excited to have you here with us today on Midlife Crisis, Bomb Drop, and Beyond. And I think you're going to be talking to our listeners today about one of your programs for intensive betrayal trauma and
Yeah.
more. So,
Thank you. Well, first of all, Trina, thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out and giving me the opportunity to do this. And what a great resource for so many out there who are hurting. So thank you for what you do and what you've put together. And um, yeah, so I'm a therapist. I'm a psychotherapist. I specialize in working with sex addicts with chronic betrayal, with betrayal trauma, and um, And so one of the programs that we offer, the one that you were asking me about earlier, is called Returning to You. And a little bit about the program. It's 5 full days, which means you have to get there the day before and leave the day after. So 7 days in total, um, designed from the ground up for women who have been betrayed. And when we created this program a couple of years ago, it really was the first of its kind, say in the nation, but really the first of its kind period that we knew of. Since then, there have been a few others that have popped up, which I'm grateful for. I think that's a wonderful thing. There's plenty of need out there. But the to best capture what we try to do in this program is to just unpack the name. We really thought hard about it, talked about it, brainstormed. I'm a very spiritual person. I prayed on it, meditated on it, and for me, this idea of returning to you. So often betrayal, it robs us of so much. It robs us of the story I thought I had, the marriage I thought I had, the relationship I thought I had, the identity I thought I had of mother, lover, companion, wife, friend, whatever it was, right? It rocks our world. Betrayal, and we can get into this. We can go any direction you want to go, but I mean, it truly is a trauma in the truest psychological sense. It causes existential crisis, and I watched over and over and over, and worked with and met with women who lost themselves due to something that they did not do, that was done to them. They lost themselves, and so we wanted to create a program where they could return to themselves, where they could find themselves again and, get back to a place of healing and peace, yeah, and freedom in their lives.
what are some symptoms of somebody who loses themselves?
Well, yeah, the great question. Betrayal trauma manifests itself in a number of ways. I like to sort of break it down into 4 categories: physical, emotional, ethical, and spiritual symptoms. Um, so physically, and if I start getting too if I start geeking out too much, you can, like, slow me down or point me in another direction, but I can't help it. I'm a nerd with these sorts of things. I've done a lot of study on attachment theory and adult attachment theory, and the bottom line is that human beings are created to be in connection. Human beings are created to be in close relationship. That doesn't have to be a marriage, but close relationship, we do need that for our own good, for our health, for our own development. And when you're betrayed by someone that you are in a deep connection with, even if it's not a secure, healthy attachment, it's still an attachment. So even if it's not a perfect, really healthy relationship, if it's a primary attachment, the rupture that causes has literal biological and neurobiological effects on our systems. So, after the discovery of betrayal, it is not unusual for someone to feel nauseated, headaches, become very hypervigilant, experience extreme weight gain or weight loss, loss of appetite, restlessness, irritability, um, physical symptoms. The number of women who I've worked with who've been betrayed who also have some autoimmune disorder is way too high to be a coincidence. Like, statistically, it cannot be a coincidence. Living in a world of gaslighting, living in a false reality, the manipulation of all of that takes a toll literally on someone's nervous system. And then the discovery of that, it blows it up. And even though there may be some small piece of that woman who feels some relief, like I knew there was something, and now finally I have some bit of an answer. There are other parts that now that biological attachment system is so confused, right? Because my body wants to come to you because co-regulation is what I'm designed for, and you're my primary partner. So I want that from you, but you're the very person who hurt me. Right? And so you're a threat to me, and so there's this internal push, pull, "Come here, go away. I hate you, don't leave me, what's happening?" That takes a toll on the person physically. So that's just the physical, list. Emotionally, extreme swings of emotion, depression symptoms, anxiety, hypersensitivity to threat. Um, some women after discovering betrayal, actually become hypersexual. And I wanna say I say that every chance I get because often they then feel shame for that. "Wait, you betrayed me, but I want to be physically intimate with you. What's wrong with me?" But that is actually a very normal response. It's another biological response where you are seeking you're just trying any way you know to find safety and stability. So the emotional swings, the emotional and then often as more details come out over time, what happens is it's like I keep thinking I get a little bit of peace, but then I find one new detail and my whole story that I've reassembled in my mind, it crumbles again. And here we go again. And so round and round and round we go. That's sort of the emotional category. Ethically, women say things like this. I lost it. I'm I used to never cuss, and now I drop F bombs all day long. I'm they may find themselves behaving in ways that they would have never behaved before. I had a woman who this is a true story. She took her husband's clothes, threw them out the window of their second-story bedroom, um, out into the lawn, then went down into the lawn and set them on fire. And this is a woman and I don't know, we can laugh about it, and I was able to laugh with her about it, but also at the same time, she really felt incredible guilt and shame over that. That's not her, and it's not aligned with her values, and it wasn't something she did as a conscious choice. It was an impulse. When we say we've lost it, what's the it? Well, we've lost our sense of self-control and self-mastery, and that's about living in alignment with our values. And so the ethical symptoms are like, I mean, I've had betrayed partners who would have never in 1,000 years done this, except that when they found out that they were cheated on, they went out and had a one night stand, like a revenge affair. And then but that's not who they are, that's not their values, right? That's a symptom of betrayal trauma. And then finally, spiritually, that category, that's really about the existential crisis. That's about, like, I don't f I feel like I've lost purpose. I've lost the vision for my life. I question God now. Why would God allow this to happen to me? Is there even a God? Or whatever faith system the person had, right? They begin to question it. The things that they deeply trusted in, right, now feel really shaky to them. And so they feel, that is very much tied to our sense of identity. And so who am I if I don't know my purpose and my vision and how I'm connected to everything else that's out there? That's a quick rundown of some of the symptoms.
Okay. And, yeah, it's like they just snap,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they can snap sometimes, and depending upon different elements, wiring and environment and all these different things, some explode, others go numb, some swing back and forth between the 2. There's no one right way or best way to experience it. It just happens, and it's that loss of control. So, trauma, one of the things that trauma does is it takes choice away from us. It feels like I've lost my choice. I've lost my impulse control. I've lost uh, safety. What feels safe to me? My favorite coffee shop. Now I know that you went there with her. Costco. Walking into the Costco. I saw her in the Costco once. Um, you know, you acted out in a McDonald's parking lot. Now every single time I drive down the highway and I see the golden arches, my whole body feels like it's about to die or like it's on fire, and I didn't choose any of it, right? So it feels like I lost choice. Trauma takes away choices. Healing from trauma is about reclaiming choice, figuring out this process of self-empowerment to take back that which feels like it was taken from me. That's why we wanna help betrayed partners return to themselves. We wanna help you return to you.
Okay, and you mentioned specifically women, but what
Yeah.
about for men that have been betrayed?
Oh, yeah. Men, are definitely betrayed. Thankfully, there are many more resources starting to come out. For a long time, it was just a desert out there for men who had been betrayed. But some good work is being done now to that end. Men go through the same sorts of symptoms. They really do. I've seen men who respond exactly in the ways that women do, although I think often there are some important differences as well. And those differences I think are often that some of it's biological, but some of it is tied to some of the cultural, social messages that men experience. What does it mean about you if your woman cheated on you? What does it mean about you if you can't just get over it? Right? So it's like leave or get over it, right? What does it mean about you if you actually need support and care? And maybe some tender, nurturing therapy or coaching. Like, what does that make me less of a man? I mean, so there are all of those messages that um, get thrown in the mix when men have been betrayed. Now, women have their own cultural messages that they're facing as well, in all of this. So it's not better or worse for one or the other.
Okay. And what about the person who does the betraying?
Yeah.
Do they like what's going on are they feeling guilt, shame, stuff like that? Like from your perspective, do you deal with oh actually you do deal with a
Yeah.
lot of them when you do couples counseling and stuff.
Yeah, I do, and I've worked with them individually as well, and no 2 people are exactly the same, so, I'm gonna speak in some generalizations here, but I would put people into one of 2 categories overall. There is a very, 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 very small number of people. It's less than what a lot of people think, and I make some people mad when I say this, but it's just true, so I'm gonna say it. Uh, you know, not everyone out there who is bad at relationships is a narcissist, okay? Not everyone out there who's been defensive, is a pathological sociopath or whatever. Um, but those people do exist. They're a very small percentage of the population, and I have encountered them. I have done work with them. It's not hopeless. Nothing's ever hopeless, but it's definitely an uphill climb. Those people start out and they don't have shame or remorse about what they've done. It's been cold, it's been calculated. They are they they have very, very low empathy, which is different than having a deficit in empathy, or knowing how to express empathy or act on empathy. It's very different. And so those people are out there, but they are the vast minority. By far, most of the folks I've worked with who have committed the betrayal absolutely have shame and guilt about it. They may not know what to do with it. They absolutely understand that they've caused pain. They may not know how to be part of the healing. Um, but they are actually operating because of traumas of their own that are unresolved. These behaviors become coping mechanisms that take on a life of their own, that spin off into these process addictions or compulsive behaviors. It's an external attempt to change an internal uncomfortable feeling. I just wanna feel something different than I'm feeling right now. I'm carrying this unresolved trauma, and so I know that if I do that, it changes how I feel. It gives me a break from it. But that does go against my values, so I feel shame for that. Now what happens? Well, now that shame gets piled on the pre-existing internal chaos, dysregulation, pain, that I'm trying to run from, and so it gets worse and worse, and that's the cyclical nature of it, and so many of these folks absolutely do feel pain, shame, guilt, remorse, but they don't know what to do.
Mhm. Uh, do you get to a point where how do they break that cycle of
Yeah, yeah, I mean, there's no one right way to do it, but typically, these folks get busted, they get caught, um, but here's what's interesting. So many of them will say something like this: "This is terrible. I swore this would be my secret until I die. I was gonna take it to the grave, but there is a part of me that is so glad that it's out." Because that part of them knew they're miserable. They're miserable. And if they can get in touch with that part and work from that part of themselves, oh, the opportunity for healing is really incredible. So there are several things that need to happen. And I turn to those same four categories of, the physical, emotional, ethical, and spiritual. Physically, if it is the case that they have, that these behaviors have progressed to the place of being addictive or compulsive, that means addiction is a real thing in the brain. It's not just like an idea. It's a real thing. There are hijacked dopaminergic pathways in the brain. So, getting to sobriety, stopping those behaviors, abstinence from the addictive compulsive behaviors is important for shoring up the physical integrity, physical health. Like, and that's hard. And there's withdrawal from these things. People don't understand, like, you can withdraw. You can have painful withdrawal symptoms from these sorts of behaviors. Getting through that, though, having a high enough level of care and support and structure and accountability, and maybe limiting yourself, putting away devices, putting filters on devices, going no contact, blocking numbers, not visiting certain areas of town, whatever it takes to stop the behavior, to break the compulsion is crucial. But then once I stop those behaviors, it's like I have a colleague, Drew Boa, who uses this metaphor of a pacifier, and this isn't meant to be insulting, but it's like these behaviors have been like a pacifier for a baby. This has been my soothing mechanism. What happens if you take a pacifier away from a baby? They
They
cry.
cry.
They cry. They get upset. They get dysregulated. Okay, if I'm taking away these behaviors, I've got to now put in place of those behaviors other tools, resources, relationships that can now do the job of the pacifier, but in a healthy way. So, having support groups, having community that understands, having tools for regulating my emotions, right? That's really important. Having a spiritual connection. I have to get out beyond myself. Spirituality, I mean, I'm a person of deep faith, but I also studied spirituality like academically uh, in the university. So just understanding spirituality from a psychological standpoint, spirituality is about connecting beyond ourselves. That is what spirituality is. People who have turned inward where it's like, the only thing I know to do to help with these behaviors is I meet my own needs by doing right? Their their own best thinking got them there. They're often in isolation because of the secrecy. Getting out of that and beginning to connect beyond themselves, first with other people in healthy community, but also then like, why am I here? You know, uh, can my life have a meaning beyond my own just existence and getting by? Can I be part of something larger in the world that is good? That's that's so huge. And then once I know, okay, yes, I believe I can, and I have an idea of the man or the woman that I'm called to be, that I can be, I have a vision for who I want to be. That's where the ethical piece comes in because my values are what help me get there. And this is really important. This helps people whether they've committed the betrayal or they're on the side of having been betrayed. When you find yourself losing yourself, the greatest, most powerful, and effective tool, which also happens to be completely free, okay, for returning to yourself or becoming the person you want to be, is to know your core values as a person. What kind of person do I want to be? So I know I want to be a person of courage, kindness, humility, and joy. Those are my core values. And so what that means is when my body is pulling me one direction and my emotions are pulling me in that direction, and my emotions are fickle, right? They swing here, they swing there, right? The my spiritual aim and my values are fixed like the directions on a compass, and I can begin to choose to move my body in alignment with my values, not the emotion I feel in this moment.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done. It's a muscle we develop. Nobody does it perfectly, nobody. So we need to have lots of forgiveness for ourselves as we're all learning to do this. But so, so powerful because here's the thing. When I when I say I'm not going to reject my anger, but I'm going to express my anger in alignment with my values. That is the most powerful place I can be, right? If I just lose it and I rage, that is actually a place of weakness,
Yeah.
right? And it may feel really good in the moment. Yeah, and we've all done it, okay? We've all done it. But it doesn't actually get me what I need and want in the end. But when I can honor my anger via my values, right? Oh my goodness, that's an unstoppable force. And regardless of how the other person receives it, I will feel good because I have respected myself. I've used my voice. I've spoken my truth, right? And so the power of values, whether it's healing from betrayal or recovering from these compulsive or addictive behaviors, is just I can't even I could go on about that for forever. Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Jake, what were
Yeah.
the 4 core values
Yeah.
again? Because that you have the
Mine?
like that.
Yeah, mine are courage, humility, kindness, and joy. And
Nice.
what I often tell folks is, get on Google, type in
Uh-huh.
list of core values, a jillion of them will pop up, and sit down and take some time and just read through them. Maybe print them out, put a little dot by the ones that resonate with you, and then pare them down, begin to pare them down, pare them down. Oh, I really like this. Like for me, I really want last time I did core values work because we can update them throughout our lives. In different seasons, we may want to emphasize different core values. But, I really last time I did, I really wanted to make humor one of my core values. But told myself I was gonna limit myself to 4 core values. So for me, humor kinda fits underneath joy. Okay? So pare it down to 4. Why do I say limit yourself to 4? If you have too many, it's gonna get overly complex. You need to be able to remember them, commit them to if you don't remember what your core values are, you're not using them. But if I know what they are, I can rattle them off day by day, moment by moment. In any given situation, I can go, I know I know how I want to act because I know who I want to be. I know what I need to do because I know who I want to be, right? So often we get like lost. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what the right thing to do here is. Wrong question to start with. Start with who you want to be. Once you're clear on who you want to be, it's going to be much easier to understand what you need to do. Okay. So to bring it all the way back to where we started the conversation, that's a big part of, what we want to do with women at returning to you or any of the folks we work with in any of our programs is help them, cut through the trauma, process the trauma, find the safety and stability to get to a place where it's like, okay, this happened to me and I didn't decide that this would happen to me, but by God, I'm going to decide what it means that this happened to me. That's healing from trauma, from betrayal. I never chose to have a chapter in my story on betrayal. That wasn't my choice, but I will choose how that chapter ends and what the next chapter will be. Listeners, if the listeners could take anything away from this conversation, this is the most important thing I think for people to understand. What happened to you is not the most important thing about you. Okay. What happened? Your story is not what will set the trajectory for your life. It is the story you tell yourself about your story. It's not the events, the literal data of what happened to you. It's the meaning you make about it. And you get to decide that. You get to decide that. And that's how, I mean, anyone who is betrayed has been victimized. They've been perpetrated against, offended against, but you do not have to let that define you and your life. So, yeah. Yeah, sorry. You can tell I get real passionate about this.
Yeah. Actually, I found it really interesting that one of your core values is courage, you know?
Yeah.
But that makes sense to because you need courage to stay on the right path sometimes, you
Yeah,
know?
for me, I'll tell you, for me, and the reason I list courage first, so I use that metaphor of a compass. Courage is my true north. And the reason why I chose courage and I made it my true north is because the way I'm wired and stuff from, my early experiences, my formative years, I am very much a people pleaser. I am conflict avoidant. That is who I am by nature. But that gets me in trouble, and that's not who I wanna be, and that's not the best route to getting where I want to go. And so for me, choosing the value of courage, I wanna do the courageous thing, I wanna say the courageous thing, I wanna show up in a courageous way. It I chose that intentionally to balance something in myself that I identified kept me from being the man I wanna be. And so when you're doing core values work, you want to be intentional in that way, be realistic. So for me, kindness and humility come a little more naturally for me, but they're still important to who I want to be. The courage balances that. So I was very intentional. It was by design that I chose something that would stretch me and grow me in the direction that I want to go.
Okay. That makes total sense. Because yeah, I would think kindness is sort of close to people pleasing, you
Right,
know?
right, and so any value, taken to an extreme can become problematic. So there's
Oh.
wisdom in choosing values that balance one another, right? So, my courage is balanced by humility, okay,
Mhm.
for me. Those 2 really balance each other, and kindness I'm sorry, yeah, and kindness and joy balance each other. What do I mean by that? Because well, number 1, by joy, I don't mean I can be happy every moment of the day. I know that's not possible. I want to choose that which will lead to ultimate joy in the end. And being kind in the moment, right, sometimes won't get me to that place of the greatest joy in the end. Sometimes a hard conversation, a difficult truth being shared is necessary. So I need the courage to get to that place of greatest joy, but I still want to be kind and humble as I say it and do it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you gave us that sort of that picture, that visual,
Oh, yeah.
because it's really that really pulls it all together.
Wonderful.
Um, hey, as we go into a new year, people are starting resolutions and things like that. Do you have any suggestions for the viewers out there today?
Yeah, if you don't know your core values, go figure them out. Figure them out and then, create a screensaver or wallpaper for your phone, put it on a sticky note on your bathroom mirror. Uh, Start living on purpose. Um, Life is full of all these forces, internal to us and external to us. We've got family of origin stuff and old wounds and traumas and griefs. We've got the culture and society and all these messages. We've got work drama and family drama, and so picture like a raft, out in the middle of the ocean and the waves and the currents and the wind and all of this. How is that raft if you're in that raft, how are you gonna get where you wanna be? Okay, well, guess what? The wind's not gonna stop, the currents aren't gonna stop for you. You learn, though, how to direct yourself. I grew up living on the bay, and I would sail I had a sailboat that as a little kid, I was allowed to go out on. It was a real small, called a sunfish, single sail, probably about 12 feet long, 12 feet long, probably, yeah. Small. Rudder, 1 sail. Learning how to take these forces and say, "Look, I know where I wanna go. I'm gonna I'm gonna point the bow of this boat in that direction, and I know how to take all of these pressures, and I'm gonna use this sail, and I'm gonna use this rudder, and I'm gonna keep the tension on it, and with intention, I'm gonna go there." And your values are what help you do that, what help you orient to where you wanna go and know how to not let the drift of life cause you to end up somewhere you don't wanna be. Live on purpose, and values are a key to doing that. Every day, every choice you make is moving you along a trajectory in your life. It is taking you somewhere. So make those choices on purpose.
I love that.
Well, good.
That is
Thank
really
you. Thank you.
a real true north. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Um, so thank you so much, Dr. Jake. And I think you've got some offers for our listeners today, a
Yeah,
variety of offers for even couples who are trying to reconcile or save their marriage or relationship,
right.
as well as those that have been betrayed. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got I do lots of things. I have ADHD, so I can't help but, spin up all kinds of stuff. So a few things that I can offer to you. One deal that we've got going on right now is for $9, you can get a digital copy of my book and my webinar. So one of my webinars. So I have a book. It's a small, easy read on healing together after betrayal. So if you're out there and you do hope that the relationship can make it. You do hope that you're able to heal and heal together. I'm offering my book. It's titled Breaking Barriers, Building Bridges, as well as a webinar called Save Your Marriage. And you can get that at helpafterbetrayal helpafterbetrayal.com/digital. Helpafterbetrayal.com/digital. $9. You get both of those resources. So that's one deal that we've got going on right now. Of course, our next Returning to You is going to be in February. You can learn more about that at daringventures.com/returning to you. That does fill up. We only have 8 spots for that, and we do it every other month. Um, but that's a great resource. And, my team offers all kinds of coaching, support, intensive therapy, customized intensives for individuals, for couples. You can learn more about all of that at both drjakeporter.com and daringventures.com.
Awesome. All righty.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I think you've given our listeners all kinds of things to think about.
Oh,
I hope they're out there right now. As soon as they finish this episode of Bomb Drop, I hope they go to Google, start looking up core values, and start working on those things for the new year. I really like
yeah.
that idea. I'm a super goal setter myself. And I think I do function from or suffer from ADHD extreme. Always doing stuff. But um,
Yep.
yeah, this is great. Really good info here, and also, I'll have it on our website. So, if people are driving and
Awesome.
didn't get to write these things down, we'll get it to them. So, thank you so much, Dr. Jake. Have a
Wonderful.
great holiday. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us today.
Same to you. Thanks for having me.
So, thanks again, you guys, for joining us today. I just want to wrap up with those websites. So, Dr. Jake has 2 primary websites. The first one is drjakeporter.com, and that is DrJakeporter.com. drjakeporter.com. His other primary website is daringventures.com, and that is daringventures.com, daringventures.com. And then for the retreat information, you can go to daringventures.com/returning to you. And that is for the Returning to You retreat. And then for the special that he's offering, the $9 ebook and more information, just go to helpafterbetrayal/digital. That's helpafterbetrayal/digital. And you can get a copy of his ebook for just $9. And thanks again for joining us today on Bomb Drop and Beyond. And I look forward to seeing you again in our next episode. You guys, forward moving spouses, you are not alone. Left behind spouses, you are not alone. Those in crisis, you are certainly not alone. This is just crazy how epidemic this has become. I have a waiting list now of people from around the world that I'm trying to get to. And if you've been through a midlife crisis or been impacted by someone else's and you want to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. Hang in there, you guys. I will get to all of you. Please reach out to me at mlcbombdrop@gmail.com and visit us on Facebook and Instagram, MLC Bombdrop. And just remember, your voice matters. Your story could be the one that helps someone else feel seen. It could help someone else feel heard. And it will help somebody else feel understood. You are not alone, no matter where you are in your journey. If the bomb was just dropped, the earthquake just happened, if you are 7 or 8 years in and you're coming out of starting to wake up and awaken to this, um, you are not alone. It's sad that this is epidemic, but we're here to provide support. So until next time, take care and live authentically each and every day. Thanks again, you guys.